artificial intelligence has been around for, seems to be forever now, but it's only really in the last, I'd say, 6, 7 months that it has really massively come up to what people expect it to be. It's curious. I still argue I'm only scraping the surface of it when it comes to my own business, but already I've done quite a bit with it. First thing I did was I set up a complete separate computer for it. The reason for that being is I wanted to have certain scripts and programs running 24/7 or scheduled at certain times of the day. My main office computer is actually a laptop, and it wasn't very conducive to it running 24/7. So first thing I did was buy myself a mini PC and set it up separate from my actual working space. From that allowed me to then run it independently of my own main computer, which also works as a sort of secondary backup system if you've got certain programs or scripts running. Speaking to somebody a while back, and they put it to me that the biggest balance, or what would I say, the biggest sort of discrepancy between or edge that you can have over any of your competitors right now is not the software you're running, it's not the code you're doing, it's your ability to think clearly through what it is you're trying to achieve. Quick thing you can do with AI is give Claude or ChatGPT, though in fairness, ChatGPT is an excitable puppy. If you said, hey, I've decided this evening I'm going to go and cut my toes off, it'd be like, that's a fair understanding. Toes are overrated. You should definitely do this. Make sure you use a sterile knife. Good luck. It'll just tell you everything you do is a brilliant idea. Claude's where it's at if you want to do professional working, in my opinion. One of the first things you can do is give it access to your emails and go, find me any email that has unsubscribe at the bottom of it, categorize them by contacts, and give them the option to unsubscribe. And it'll go in, bring you up all the different contact ones that are mailing you every day, and unsubscribe from them, which will clean up your inbox in minutes. If you don't already have an email set up just for getting leads or messages from potential suppliers, if you're doing OA, whatever, that's something I definitely encourage you to set up. Second thing I would do is, once I've got Claude and I get a professional version of it, because if you're trying to do this on a free version, you're going to really struggle with tokens and bandwidth, is set up Obsidian. Now, Obsidian itself is a web-based free app that is completely unnecessary, but it looks cool. It really looks cool. And it's the sort of graphics front of what is essentially a vault. And the vault works as minutes. So if you imagine minutes of a meeting, it works by keeping minutes of everything you've engaged with Claude in, and builds it up into a massive readable directory. So then when you go, hey, I'd like to continue working on sourcing this product for Christmas, it can go and check the vault, read everything you've ever discussed about that project, and it's completely up to date. Whereas with ChatGPT, it forgets who you are the next day. Especially now within Claude, if you're using a cowork, it generates a new session each time and doesn't carry over any memory from the previous session. So without setting up a vault, doesn't have to be Obsidian, but without setting up a vault, you're going to repeat yourself unto the point that you get very frustrated, or at least I do. So that has been a big game changer in how I approach Claude. I used to just try and just run it in big sessions where it memorized everything in that session, but then the chat would get far too long and it would start to freeze. I have used AI to run adverts on Facebook. I have connected it up via Amazon API to run reports. One thing I like to do is run my business reports on a weekly basis. It'll identify what has been the biggest changes in products that we're selling and identify where we should be spending more time. So be like, hey, this ran out of stock. You're only in stock for 60% of the week. You need to buy X amount more units.
I think it'd be good to hear what each person. I saw Paul on mute there, so we'll pick on Paul. Paul, what do you want to get from this session specifically? Where I think we're happy to run it as broad as we possibly can.
I think the thing would be just to get ideas as to how to get more efficiency into what you're doing, because obviously you're obviously learning all the time, but at the same time there are a lot of things that are being done that are sort of proven already with using AI, and I suppose finding these things to get these things into your operation to make your life easier and to make things get more efficiencies really in your process. I think that's really the main thing.
The first thing, anytime I'm trying to set up a new project or trying to automate something new, the first thing you do is go back to ChatGPT. As much as I said, it's just like an Energizer puppy. It's where I go to when I want to clarify a project. So depending on your level of knowledge of AI, one of the problems is that ChatGPT, more so than any of the rest of them, will hallucinate. It'll go off tangent. It'll go down rabbit holes, and the next thing you're saying, "Hey, I want to automate email responses," and it's telling you about the best way to systemize your office filing cabinet. So it'll go off target. So what I have found the best thing to do is use ChatGPT as a sounding board, as if you were talking to somebody, to get very clear on what your objective is, what it is you're trying to achieve, success criteria, objectives, what it is exactly that you want to achieve that you're trying to automate. And once you have that, then be like, what will success look like? Again, very basic stuff, but it's amazing how often we jump into something and don't really think about it. And from there, once you've got a clear objective, I then get Claude to do it all. I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't use ChatGPT to do it. But it's about trying to understand what is actually going to improve your business. So as I said, cleaning up your email box. It's a handy thing to do, but is it going to improve your efficiency? Probably not. If you are sourcing, if you want to get it to go through your old leads and identify what the buy box on them is now, who is holding the buy box, it can do that sort of thing. I had an issue the other day where I wasn't getting the buy box, and I never wrote script in my life. Claude generated a Python script that would plug into my Amazon API and determine which ASINs I was winning the buy box of. And in my haste, I said, go and check which ASINs I've sold that I'm winning the buy box of. It checked every ASIN that I've ever sold, ever, in 9 years. So it took it quite a while. So much so that it was really hard to actually manage. There was that many different ASINs back from when I was doing away. From that, you can get it to generate it into spreadsheets, identify which ASINs you've sold the most of, what was your average sell price, what was your average purchase price, and break it down into that. What I'm getting it to work on at the minute is, again, actually focus on what you wanted to do. I was listing from one supplier onto Amazon and then using those ASINs to relist onto eBay. I spent 12 hours one Saturday using ChatGPT to cross-list from Amazon to eBay. And then I moved over to Claude, and Claude was like, I just plug all these listings in now. You don't need to do it that way. And while away on holidays last week, I realized, why does it have to be just the listings that I can sell on Amazon? eBay is a lot more forgiving about what you can sell, and just upload the entire inventory. We used to spend a lot of time with our VAs creating listings. GPT writes every product listing we do right now. We plug it into Helium. We generate the keywords off Helium. We plug them into ChatGPT and we go, here are the keywords. Use these words and generate a title. And then use these words to generate 5 bullet points. And then the rest of them go into our main body. And then I honestly don't know what we do for the graphics. My team does that. I know we do have a professional version of Canva, but I'm pretty sure Canva's now linked to Claude and you can get it to generate a lot of stuff automatically. I don't know in enough detail for that one simply because I don't do it. But it does mean we're churning out 10 new ASINs a day. And we probably could be doing more, but we're just being selective about what we do. Paul, I know you're quite early doors in it. What's the biggest challenge you have right now, and have you tried anything with AI to work on it?
No, I'd say the challenge really is sifting through wholesalers and price lists to try and find things that are viable. And I mean, I haven't used AI to the point where what I'd like to do is write something where we can get them to, which I'm sure you do, use AI to sift through price lists and identify potential opportunities where there's access to Keeper and maybe Seller Amp, and they can basically have a look at setting price on Amazon, basically vet price lists to obviously identify opportunities. So I mean that's really something I think would be a huge efficiency booster and save a lot of time.
It's one of the only things in my business we don't use AI for, is that aspect of sourcing. On the basic level of using it just to do like VLOOKUPs for EAN. If the EAN isn't correct on the Amazon listing, it's not going to work. Now, a wee bit beyond me, but I do know guys that are using it to sort of they go in and they do screen grabs visually, take screen grabs of the website and convert that into media that can be readable and do it on a visual sense so you can be like, human eye, as I always say about, if it's a twin pack of shampoo and conditioner, that I can do it that way. It is possible. I personally haven't done it. I know one guy that's doing it with very good effect. And the tokens he was using it was costing him, so he moved to a different platform. Something to do with trains. I can't remember the name of it. It's costing him pennies a day to run it, and it will visually check. So say it's a product that was a slight difference in packaging, so the EAN number is slightly different. This will visually check it, and it's within what it deems a tolerable limit. It'll still generate it as a lead. So I personally not done that yet. I've been more setting up a inventory systems for the things that I'm already buying, because I'm at a stage now where I'm getting more selective about what I'm buying rather than just going and hunting new leads every day. But there's a lot can be done there. Again, it comes down to being clear on what it is you want to do and sort of building up your knowledge on it. Paul, are you using any AI at the minute?
Well, I just go between Grok and ChatGPT really. So yeah, more ChatGPT I think at the moment. I find they have different capabilities, but it is fairly straightforward. It just takes a bit of time to set it up, to get everything to talk to each other, and then you can just get them to run a program that will identify sort of viable options and price lists, etc. So it shouldn't be too hard. But I mean, that is, I'm sure someone's doing it already.
Yeah, that's what I spend half my time to, is trying to get them checked in, different things to contact each other. So I'm saying there, what's your view on the new frontier models of SOL, Lunar, etc. versus Fable? I'll be honest, I've used Fable. I haven't used any of the rest of them, and I haven't really nosed about them too much. As I said, chasing tail a bit at the minute and not really scraping the surface as much as I want to. If you're using a separate computer for AI or using any agent harnesses for Hermes or OpenClaw, the plan is to use an agent for Hermes, but until I get my store feeder set up, there's no point trying to do that yet until I get it set up. Started using Claude. I've got it analysed my top selling products and given it a target of where I want the profit to be. If we could give reports manually from STK and Seller Central, why would you not pull the reports automatically from Seller Central? You can't. There is no API as far as I'm aware for STK, but there is for Seller Central. Into wholesale, looking to understand better how I can use it for wholesale, find me products, wholesalers, good selling replenishable items. So for finding wholesalers, if you go onto websites like World's Eye or Go for World, where there's just databases of wholesalers, you can use it to identify wholesalers that have got specific keywords in their bio. You can just scrape the website and it'll be like, I know, for example, somebody that went and they went to the website for the Spring Fair, and just got Claude to go in and scrape all the names of suppliers, contact details, what category they deemed themselves as, and it just built a directory. And he's like, well, I don't really need to go now unless I really want to speak to them in person, because I've got all the contact details of everybody that's going to be there. He said it took 20 minutes. So it's then, what are you going to do with that? You could then pull out all the emails, get it to write a sort of targeted email for each one. And I don't really send many mass emails, but I do know is Klaviyo used for sending mass emails?
Can be, yeah.
Yeah. So you could set up the subscription for it and use it to send mass emails that are personalized to them suppliers and be like, hey, I'm looking for X, Y, and Z products, need them at this price. Is this something you can help me with, or could you point me in the right direction? My attitude in that, though, is while that is all feasible and possible, I've had clients before that have went and sent out mass emails to suppliers and thought, I'm genius, and didn't get a single reply because, well, the suppliers realised it was just a generic phishing email, and they're like, well, if you don't have the time to phone us, you're probably never going to place an order, so why reply to an email?
The other thing with sending mass emails, especially like on an account that's not warmed up, there'll be a very few of them will actually be received. They'll just go into spam or junk, and then your own sending email will be, it just be on the radar. So be very careful about sending mass emails, Angus. Yeah, it's something that we need to deal with just internally with iGen, any emails that we send, they can't need to be warmed up, and there's lots of different sort of technical aspects of it. So it essentially doesn't really work, in my opinion.
Yeah. Going back to my doppelganger's question about OpenClaw, that is something that I'm trying to work on at the minute. I want it to get that it's running. I want to set up something like Jarvis. I know it looks good when you watch Instagram reels and stuff like that there, but I want it that it's bringing up my own dashboard of going, here's the amount of units you shipped today, here's what you spent today, here's what every other aspect, every member of your team is doing, here is sort of summary of what they were engaging with Claude with, because all of my team have their own, and that's one of the things on the guide that you'd made out, Lloyd, was about every one of my team has their own Claude access, so we can see what they're engaging with, how they're using it, because I want them using it. I want them to be more efficient. Like, the more time that they have available for projects, the better, because then they're not getting bogged down and doing repetitive tasks. There is so much can be done there. Lass, what about yourself, sir? Any questions? Anything you want to go over?
So I use it only for creating a kind of Excel template to compare what I have in Keepa per data and what I receive from a supplier. So it's a kind of comparison, as you said, VLOOKUP. It's a basic thing, but it saved me time. Oh yeah. No, just I wanted to listen if there is other opportunity to be more efficient, especially in terms of sourcing, because this is where I'm a little bit inefficient. I think going row by row in a spreadsheet is long. Yeah, this is what I wanted to hear more.
Well, why do you think your way is inefficient? What's your problem with it?
Because I'm going through Excel spreadsheets row by row, and then I'm comparing what I have in the Excel spreadsheet and Keepa and Fast, and I'm doing back and forth between the three. So it's a bit.
And what are you comparing them for? Are you trying to say, is there an arbitrage price difference, or what are you trying to compare?
I'm trying to compare the price lists and the price in Amazon, so in Keepa and Fast, and see if there is a profit.
Well, why would you not just link all three, the Keepa API, to that list and get AI to run through and, even at a very basic, generate out the items that there's more than a 40% difference in price between the cost of goods and the sell price on Amazon? And that's going to immediately give you items that are going to be potentially profitable. It'll thin out all the junk straight away, and then you can go in and do it that way. Personally, we try and target a 2.5 times sell difference. So if you're buying something for a fiver cost of price, we want to be trying to sell that for a minimum of £12.50. Now, that's a very rough rule of thumb, but it means if it's selling for £8 or less on Amazon, there's definitely not going to be a margin on it. So you could get Claude to write a simple script, identify, look at this item, look at the EAN, check it out on Amazon, and if the price on Amazon is more than £8 or £8.50, to put it into a list for further scrutiny. And I would say that would cut out 70-80% of that list in a couple of minutes. But that's what I was saying about you can use it to check the EAN on titles. The one thing I would say about that is, don't reinvent the wheel. Tactical arbitrage and a lot of them sort of software-based, like Actorio, a lot of them software-based softwares that check wholesale stock lists for profitable items. They're all doing that. They've been spending months and months doing that. Why redo it again yourself? If that's what you want to use it for, go and get Tactical Arbitrage, go and get Actorio, go and get one of them guys, and they'll do it for you. Yes, there'll be a cost to it, but think of the time it's going to cost you in sitting writing all that code and troubleshooting it. So that's the one thing I think people need to be aware of with AI. Like, I've seen me when I've been trying to do projects, and Claude's like, we can write all this and we can do all this, and I'm like, but there's an out of a box one that's going to cost me a tenner and it's already done. And somebody's trying to make that their business, so they're putting sweat and tears into making sure that's perfect. So the one thing I would say is, just because you can do it yourself doesn't mean you always will. Like, I'm sure you could cook a very great dinner yourself, but sometimes you just want to go out and get a burger and chips.
Yeah. Can you post the link to this site, maybe? if you have time during this call, and I will have a look.
Yeah, I'll get you a link last for Asen Weiser, Victoria as well. A great question from Angus, and I'll let you dive into it a little bit more in regards to replacing virtual assistants. So, Eamon and Tom have put together a video discussing this exact thing. Essentially, what we're implementing within the academy that we run, all VAs are going to be Anthropic certified, so they'll be going through a Claude course, so they'll have literally a certification to say that they've been through that, so they can actually help implement things. But there's a great question from Angus in the chat in regards to replacing VAs.
Do you think eventually Claude can replace the sourcing VA if you give it a set criteria? Some American sellers on YouTube with dashboard setups are like to be putting ASIN in and it does all the analysis for them. Where did they get the ASIN? So that would be my first question. Be like, hey, is this item profitable? Well, where are you buying it? What's your cost of goods? Yeah, like SaaS already analyzes it for you. That's AI. So you're skipping the point where they've already found the item, found the cost of goods, checked out and so you can then check it on Amazon. That is the essential of a sourcing VA. So what I would say is, it's like when the tractor came along, people said it revolutionized farming and that it's going to do away with the donkey and the horse, and that it was it would be the end of small farms. And then you look at tractors now and they've leaps and bounds. It makes things more efficient, it makes it faster, it makes things more scalable, but there still needs to be somebody controlling it. Even, I'm going to use the example of Clarkson's farm and the Autobot tractor. There was still somebody sitting in an office controlling it. There was still somebody who had to go out and map out the fields. There was still a human being somewhere that had to run the software. And I most definitely believe that Claude or other different AI platforms will be able to do a massive amount of the heavy lifting for a sourcing VA, but you still need somebody to run a human eye over it. You still need somebody to give it direction. You still need somebody to go, actually, no, can you run it again and look at this criteria? Can you avoid this brand because we've had IP complaints from them? That is where your sourcing VA is going to still be able to massively deliver value over just AI software, because you could do all that yourself. Then again, you could do sourcing yourself, so you don't really need a sourcing VA. You don't need an admin VA. You don't even need to run an Amazon business. If you down to the local dole office, they'll just give you money. But if you want to scale and grow it, you need somebody skilled that's actually going to be running them tools. And in my opinion, definitely Amazon is changing. Selling on Amazon is definitely changing, but you still need to have staff that's running and operating that equipment. Sourcing, yes. Admin VAs, definitely AI is going to change the face of how admin VAs work. So instead of them copying down all invoices when they come in, you just set up a script that every time you get an invoice from SaaS or Keepa or whoever it is, it just automatically generates and downloads and puts it into a folder titled Keepa Invoices. Come the end of your tax year, you go, hey, Claude, give me hyperlinks to all these to pass over to my accountant or pop these into Xero, and it just populate it all through. But then again, you'll still pay an accountant to run an eye over that, because if you're just using Claude to put that into making tax digital and hope for the best, good luck. I won't do it. Lloyd, how are we getting on?
Good, thanks. So, yeah, I think it'd be good just for the people here. And then the message from Angus makes sense. Claude training course you're running for VA sounds good. I'm not trying to employ an admin VA. Yeah, I think there's always going to be a need for VAs. Essentially, just need less of them, because the tools that they're using, the methods that they're using, are just more powerful.
Yeah, definitely so. Like, I started a new software a couple of weeks ago, and I just got my VAs of like, go learn that software. Use AI. I expect you to know more about this in a week than I do. You've got the time, you've got the resources. Like, they have access to my other me accounts, so they can go in and look at different training programs. I'm like, go and figure that shit out, get it done. It's like an AI, you can and run agents, but there's only so much they're going to do. Guys,
Amen.
Any questions?
Your dad's back in the chat to boost the numbers. Back in the live,
Good.
sorry, to boost the numbers. How you doing, sir?
Yeah. Where can people? Well, I'm not going to share my screen and go through the link because it's downloadable, but Are we posting that out, or where are we putting the guide for AI?
Guide for AI is all in emails. It's on the video you've done with Thomas recently, and yeah, it's pretty much available everywhere. So yeah,
All
we'll
good
get that
bookstores.
pushed out again. And all good high street retailers and some bad ones too.
I only shop online these days. Yeah, one thing, like I was sitting using it last night for identifying products that I've listed on Amazon that aren't listed on eBay and vice versa, and also linking it into stock that I have locally and stock that I have that I sort of like half dropship. And it was able to point out to me going, hey, there's discrepancies in your SKUs that's causing glitches in the Python code, but we can identify it by the ASIN and run a new script rather than having to go in and actually change the SKU. It can identify it then, that ASIN to that SKU. So there's so much can be done in that aspect of it. I personally am trying to use it for inventory management mostly at the minute. A few security setups, as I said, but I'm not really using it that much for sourcing. I know people that are massively using it for sourcing. That's not our focus this quarter. So it just depends on you and your business. If you're at a level where, your business is going great, you can just come on and sit and watch what other people are doing. You might want to be sitting trying to set up agents. If you're only getting started, you might want to use it to generate leads coming in from like sales emails coming into your inbox every day. Use them, check out the emails as come in, check their website out, see does it meet your criteria, and flag it into a sourcing list for review.
Reach out to everyone who's joined the live, and if you want to discuss how we can help you support, implement things like this, one of the longest running Amazon coaches in the UK. And yeah, we're pretty approachable, pretty easy to work with, and yeah, diving into AI now. So thanks, guys, and yeah, it's been good.
Cheers, guys. Have a great evening, and I'll chat to you soon.